Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, published author, and PhD candidate, Josias Abriel. Before we get started, folks, just a couple quick announcements. One, the show is now accepting donations. We need to get a new laptop to continue the show. So I have a Cash App in the episode description below. You just click on the link tree and you can donate. Anything helps. There's this used laptop that I was looking at, and it's about $600 something. So that I will be needing to get that to. I found like the best and cheapest used laptop to be able to record the show, because the current laptop, she's dying on us, folks, and the software and the updates, it's starting to do its thing again. So if you would like to donate to help the show out, please do so. Anything helps. Also, if you are listening on YouTube, give this a like. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this a 5-star rating. It will help the algorithm. I do need 10 more 5 stars to continue the show. So if you could please do that, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Alrighty, folks. So today with us, we have a brand new guest, Neal Tricarico. Awesome. Did I say it right?
You sure did. Thanks, man.
Okay, great. Well, Neal, welcome to the show. It is wonderful to have you. Wonderful to have met you.
Likewise. I'm so happy to be back on with you, Josiah. Even our pre-call together, just feel that connection, man. So what a treat to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, Neal, tell us a little bit about you before we get into our conversation. Tell us a little bit about you. Any work that you have? What do you do? Things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. Well, so my work that I'm doing these days is born out of significant tragedy. My wife and I lost our son, Ant Anthony, to suicide 2 years ago, and Ant was diagnosed high functioning autism, and from all accounts, from the outside world, you wouldn't have known it. He did everything he could to mask and keep his diagnosis to himself, and 4.6 grade point average. Was into martial arts and doing different epic achievements like Spartan races and marathons, and had a good group of friends and such. But his outside world was vastly different than the world his mom and I lived with him. And our journey of suicidality was a 2-year journey that we were all in together, aware of. And it was so important to him that he had plans for his senior year to do his senior project on suicide prevention. It was his belief that we had to reduce the stigma. Sadly, that journey ended in his succumbing to and dying by suicide. And we came to learn that kids with his diagnosis between the ages of 12 and 18 are 30% more likely to do this. And they're also the group that has the highest completion rate. So all that to say is, like, what am I currently doing? Well, my wife and I started a nonprofit called the Endurant Movement, who exists to help teens and neurodiverse teens not feel so alone and to feel included. And that's a full nonprofit that takes all of us, and we're so grateful to have launched so that we can save other families from going through what we've had to go through. And then I have also launched the Endurant Way, which is a path for adults who have experienced significant loss to heal, to understand how powerful grief can be, and to transform. And what I'm particularly excited about our conversation is the spiritual aspect of that transformation, which really cracked my world open. So, that's a long answer to your short
Oh no, that's a
question.
perfect
Yeah.
answer.
Cool.
That's a perfect answer. Yeah, it's vulnerability time. We like a lot here. Where can we find or donate to the nonprofit? Do you have a website? And if you do, it'll be in the episode description below, folks. Check it out.
That would
But
be
tell us, where can we find this,
that would be so great.
Neal?
It's called the endurantmovement.org. So endurant, ENDURANT movement.org. And that name has special meaning to us because endurant means capable of overcoming extreme adversity or hardship,
Mhm.
and it's possessing the capabilities. So it's similar to resilience, but if we
Yeah.
are endurant, we possess those capabilities. And then it's also meaningful to my family and me because, like I mentioned, Anthony's nickname was Ant, so much so that in elementary school he went into the administrative office and had them officially change his name. So somewhere from elementary school through, he's known as Ant. So at
Mhm.
endurantmovement.org.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, folks, if spelling is not your strong suit like me, even if someone spells it, just click the episode description below. Just click on the episode description. It'll be there. 'Cause you could spell it to me 12 times and I'll be like, okay, there's got to be a Z in there somewhere. I mean, stuff like
Me
that.
too.
I'm just kidding. Okay, only a little bit. Okay, and so you mentioned spiritual. So I know our topics today, well, our starting points today are, the spiritual journey and also staying connected,
Mhm.
and what that means. So first, take us through spiritual journey. Why that topic? What is it you wanted to share on it?
Yeah, well, I just think, I don't know, but I hypothesize it's a really unknown sort of topic. I mean, and for me, I've worked with Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra, so I really understand intellectually sort of quantum physics, and I'm intrigued by near death experiences. I believe intellectually that there's an afterlife and that we're connected in some way to loved ones on the other side. But it was only through this experience of losing my son
Mm,
that this opened up for me in a big and meaningful way. So much so that I think, much like you, I'm wanting to share it because it gave me so much peace. So how did it unfold for me? You see, initially, um, Anthony was found by a passerby and he was revived. And he was in Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego for 9 weeks. And he had significant brain injuries. But through the love and care of our community, who was showing up for us every week and holding these all faiths welcome prayer circles, my family and I received different gifts. And honestly, Josiah, I'm so blessed. No fewer than three people offered us, hey, I'm curious, I don't want to sound too far out there, but if you're interested, I would like to gift you a medium reading, and so, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a cynical person, but I mean, I don't know, it just seems kind of interesting. But in those moments where we were hospitalized, especially in that coma, it felt significantly meaningful and valuable. And
mm,
about 7 or 8 days into Anthony's hospitalization, my wife and I had our first medium reading, and man, it was so helpful because even though Anthony was in a coma, this medium was able to communicate with him, and very quickly we were able to kind of cross that threshold of trust and say, hey, this is real, because obviously we were in a very vulnerable state, but the way loved ones share with us to give us certainty that this is really them came through, and that opened a dialogue for us to really understand where Anthony was at in our wishes, his
mhm.
wishes.
Yes. You know, fun fact, folks listening, mediumship used to be the norm. That was the norm long, long time ago. It's only modern society we're taught, oh, to fear that, right? We're not
Yeah.
taught that, but that used to be the norm. It was just as normal as, I don't know. see someone drinking a water bottle, no one looks at that and questions, why are they drinking a water bottle? It's just the norm. So I'm using that. I could have used a better example, but I can't think of one right now. But I'm using that to help communicate, verbalize how normal mediumship was. And so the fact that, we're able to experience that, is something that, you know, we look down the family tree long, 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 too long ago, they experience the same, similar, like, talking to loved ones who are transitioning or have transitioned.
Man, I'm so glad you shared that because it's my belief too, and that's why I love the work that you're doing with your show, with your podcast, and also, you know, now we've been fortunate to meet, four different mediums. One woman, Jasenia Alma, she's an Akashic records keeper, and she just pulled us into her world. And every week we meet in a group setting, and it's really just about remembering, because this small group that my wife and I are involved in, it's so very clear that, like, yes, this is the case, and this is part of our journey. And I guess through decades of conditioning, somehow we've decided that this isn't the path, or conditioned that out, when
Mm,
it
mhm.
is my belief and lived experience that this is the true path to freedom. I mean, how could someone like myself, who's lost a child to suicide, um, still believe, and believe even more so, that life is happening for me, not to me? And
Mm,
it's through this connection, through this real lived experience, which, I'd love to hear a bit about your NDE. But even though I wasn't on the other side, the connection is so clear,
yeah.
the direction is so clear, understanding my soul's mission, and
Mhm.
that my son and my wife, and in large part the people who keep showing up in my world, including you, have contracted in some way for this experience, so that we might bring a greater feeling of love and light, and in our case, help these underserved neurodiverse families live.
Yes. Right. Exactly. I'll answer your question. I'll tell you a little bit about my NDE, but first, what did your spiritual journey look like before
Mm.
Anthony transitioned, before this experience?
Yeah, great question. So, like I shared briefly, I mean, I've been exposed to these concepts, right? Quantum physics,
Yeah.
and this idea of we're souls having a human experience here on Earth, and that we're all connected. And so
Yes.
I understood this intellectually, and I
Mhm.
was very hopeful, but I didn't have any experience of that
Right, right.
connection. So, um, it's not that I was seeking proof, but I was never put to the test, if that makes sense. But I
Right, right,
believed
right.
and I hoped that when my time came, that I would it would feel as if I had returned home, and that whatever I had come here to experience, that I delivered to the fullest of my ability, and that I would reunite with loved ones, and that the experience would continue. But it was all an intellectual experience, a
Mhm.
hopeful experience. But like I said,
Right.
nothing was put to the
Right.
test. And then I also think about religion, and I'm so grateful for people of faith, and I grew up Catholic, and that faith was helpful for me,
Mm,
and it always felt like there had to be something more. So all
mhm.
that to say is, my experience before was very intellectual. I didn't realize what I know now is that I've spent the last 20 years training for
Mhm.
something that I wasn't yet aware of, why I would need it.
Yeah.
And so now it's um it's a different
Yeah.
experience, knowing it's real.
Yeah. Yes, it's very, 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 very real. A lot of what you said is things that I learned from the other side. Um, I will say this. Most folks know, about my NDE, and so mine occurred via suicide completion, not attempt, completion. Because I mean, I wouldn't have left my body if I attempted it. Like I, I completed it. It was gone. I was gone. It was go time. Right. I don't know how long I was. I don't know how long I was out of my body still to this day, just because time, how we see it, is not how time actually is. So
Mm,
it's like it just didn't feel like how on Earth we see time as kind of linear, but it's not like that. I don't even want to use the word time, but I don't know how else to. I guess I can say the word moment,
mm,
but I don't know how else to like explain it other than like saying time, but also having to explain, okay, but it's not like how we think of time. Like
mhm.
how we think of time, it's very anxiety inducing, if I'm being honest with you. It is.
Agreed.
Um, oh, yeah, 1000%. 1000%. Um, but I will say this, I was met with tons of love. I, as a child, because my NDE happened February 23rd, 2013.
Mm,
As a child, I did not know love, and some folks think I'm exaggerating because it's hard to fathom, how parents can be that horrible to a kid. But I'm like, oh, it's
mm,
true. But I've experienced extreme neglect, abandonment, and abuse. And my father was a pastor, but he was also one of my abusers.
mm,
And so not only, so I became an atheist because of that. Um, so I didn't believe in a God, but I was like, if Jesus or God is real, they must hate me, because I was always, not only was I told, oh, I'm gay, I'm going to hell, um, that because I'm gay, I'm going to hell, it was also ingrained in my nervous system physically, because I was literally being beaten and told that, and beaten because of that. So it's like I wasn't just hearing those words, I was feeling those words on a physical level, not just an internal, emotional, mental level. I was feeling it from all facets. And so, I started self-harming. I was told by my own family that I should kill myself. So I
mm,
wasn't really, when all that happens to you for 15 years, eventually of course, it makes sense why I just wanted to leave, right? Though I was atheist at that time, I was like, you know what? Hell's probably real, and I'm going there. And so that's why after I took the pills, I felt extreme regret, just because I felt like, well, it just felt like I was just doomed regardless.
mm,
Yeah, and so then I left my body. And that's when everything changed. So I was met by one of his names was Yeshua, but modern culture calls him Jesus, even
mm,
though that wasn't even his original name, and he's had different iterations of names. Like for a while his name was Jesu, like, but then they were like, "Oh, that sounds too feminine," so they changed it to Jesus. But anyways, fun fact, that's who I met, and that the reason why I met, and there's more to this. I don't want to take up your episode, but I will say this. The Jesus that I met was not the Jesus that was taught about in church.
mm,
This being was so loving, and it was very strategic that I met that being, because I was taught that that being hated me so, so much and was going to send me to hell. That being told me the exact opposite, that hell is not real and that I am extremely loved. And something interesting that it took me years to say, because I didn't know how people were going to take this. And I still don't know how people are going to take this. I say it now and I've gotten positive reactions, but I don't fully know, but I feel like it's worth saying. It's like how we view what we call suicide or self transitioning, how we view it here on earth is not how it's viewed on the other side. You are not met with shame. You're not met with, um, I'm not invalidating people who's been affected by it. Like, no, that's completely valid. That pain is so valid, right? Especially when you understand why they left, why they transition. It can be so complex and so and things like that. But I want folks to know it's completely valid, right? I just in my life encountered a lot of people shaming the folks that don't have experience with um having someone that they love self transition. They just kind of but just talk about it and say, "Oh, they're weak." And so there's this a lot of shame. I've been told I was weak, right? There's a lot of shame, and on the other side, it is not like that at all. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's the real. And for a long time in human history, especially throughout different cultures, self-transition was never a shameful act. Um, for many cultures, it was an honor. For many cultures, it was just understood. Um, but this was also around the times where we were more connected, right? So, for example, mediumship and whatnot. So,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people, it was, okay, you're just ascending to a higher frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was none of this. How we view it now is not how it's viewed on the other side, and it's not how it's always been viewed on this earth. There is so much love and grace and so much understanding. Um, and I'll just stop it there because I don't want to take up your episode, but I just think that that is just something really, really beautiful because, my father talked about suicide, not because he was suicidal, he would just make fun of people who did, right? And so I thought that I would be met with that, right? Surely if a pastor's saying these things, it must be correct. Turns out it's the direct opposite. It's the direct opposite of it. So I just think that's really beautiful. So if anyone's out there listening, who knows a loved one who has self-transitioned, I want you to know they are met with so much love and grace and home. If you have felt home on this earth, imagine that times like 1,000. Like to me, it was like a million because I've always felt like an orphan. I've always felt like I don't belong on this earth and things like that. Like, and not in a suicidal way, just in like, which I can get more in my MDE. But I just felt orphaned on this earth. I feel like this place isn't home. Like I'm not. This isn't. I don't know this place. This place is foreign to me. Because of my NDE, I learned why I feel like that. Um, but yeah, folks, they are okay. They are okay, and just because they are not in this physical vessel currently, well, in our lifetime right now, that doesn't mean their work ended though.
Man,
A lot of people leave because and this is also something I learned from the other side. It's like when oftentimes in life when someone leaves, whether that be in a relationship, they left the relationship, or they a great mentor, they move states. A lot of times when people leaves, their impact is felt harder. So,
uh,
you know,
I mean, my gosh, I'm just so grateful for all that you shared there. But first and foremost, just as a parent, my heart goes out to you, my man.
thank you. I
To
received
be
that.
met with so many pieces while still alive, and to be considering and acting on self transition, and in those moments, instead of feeling like peace, feeling fear that you might wind up in hell. It's just it's so much, and I'm so grateful that you had that experience so that you could feel that relief and that peace and be able to share it, because prior
Mhm.
to this experience, that just seemed to be the piece around suicide, is the shaming aspect. And
Mhm.
I was blessed that I didn't have too much time to feel that shame, because of the overwhelming love and support from our community. Um, but also you've left me with a gift. I've never thought about it or heard of it referred in this way in terms of self transitioning, because even though his son shared with us before that we had to remove the stigma, the shame from the word itself, like it's still very hard. And even all the things that we're doing, we're throttled by using that word and everything. And self transition makes so much more sense. And also that last piece that you shared with me, because one of the things, so we had this 9-week experience, and then, so we had we had this initial medium, and we met with him a couple times. And then as Anthony's situation deteriorated and it was pretty clear he was suffering, and the vegetative state that he was in was likely going to be permanent, we reached out to him through mediumship, and then we decided to, I don't mean to make light of it, but it was a humor release for my wife and I. We got a second opinion because we had these other gifts. So so we're like, well, we should check in with this other medium, and the situation was the same. But Anthony shared with my wife and me that even though it's really, really difficult to set him free, that he believed that the amount of pain that it would be for my wife and my family and I would be small compared to the impact that we would have. So that last piece that you shared about the impact being greater, that's been my lived experience in this, that it's such a epidemic, and especially for folks in the neurodiverse community, that something like this has created a ripple effect that continues to ripple out. And we're already aware of lives that have been saved and families that have been saved. And, it's hard not to want to trade it all back to have him back, but that's not option. So there's just so much beauty and peace. And I just personally thank you. Yeah, man, it's so helpful for me. Thanks.
I receive, and thank you for what you do, because I'm very grateful to know that. I remember when I first met you, I'm very grateful to know that you, Anthony, and your wife have, created this nonprofit, because he is a part of the help. He 1000% is. Many people, many people, they don't stop their work, upon transition. But as a neurodivergent myself, I'm very a high functioning autistic, right? And so um all I feel like already I was eventually gonna, experience suicidal ideations, because I have read a lot, not too much. Like, I could definitely learn more. Um, but I've read a lot about, folks with autism, and how, it's um depression and suicidal ideation. It's very common. Not saying it's not common with other people, but this is just an observable, reality that we
Yes.
see. I didn't know though that we were more likely. I didn't look that deep into it. I just was like, makes sense. And then also there was also trauma and stuff like that, that had an impact on my mind and body. So I had to go through, healing and therapy. I'm still in therapy. I love therapy. Even though I feel like I don't need it, I still go to therapy. It's just
The
great to
work is
grow.
good. It's great to grow.
Yeah.
It's great to grow. And yeah, we didn't know either. I mean, it was just through fate of spirit, that equate as I don't even know. So a Facebook friend of mine reached out a couple weeks after, a woman that I never met or knew, and we're not even sure how we got connected on Facebook some 10 years ago. But she said she watched my kids grow up and all the camping trips I went on with Aunt and all the things. And, so sorry for my loss. She said, I know you don't know me, but would you open to getting on a call or Zoom with me? I have some information that may be helpful. And she's the one who shared that this stat with us, and a lot of great work that's being done in the UK to save lives. And
Mm.
when she shared it, like a switch flipped. This became the moral obligation, a call
Mm.
to something greater,
Yeah.
and now, continuing to be connected with Anthony through both mediumship, but also developing my own connections. I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
fascinating about it, is like we don't, furthering on what you were saying earlier, like, mediums, their gifts are just much more developed. But in the work that I've been doing in the last year, through meditation, through my
Mhm.
heart being wide open and my
Yeah.
eyes being wide open, like experiencing signs and gifts and clear downloads and direction
Mm.
from
Yeah.
Anthony and others on my spirit
Yes.
team.
Yes.
It feels like such a great and safe place to talk about it here, because you've had the experience. I feel very blessed by dear friends and family. I don't feel like they judge or question it, or if they do,
Mhm.
they're not saying anything to me. But it's I don't know about you, man, but like for me, it's mind blowing, because even though I shared that I knew it and understood it intellectually,
Yeah.
like there's like before and after. I say born again, not in a
Mhm.
religious way, but
Right, right.
I'm not here. I'm certainly not there. I feel like
Mhm.
I'm in some, I don't know if in between is the right word, but the point being, I don't know. I can't think of anything else other than like, it definitely does seem very real that this is an experience, our
Yeah.
souls having a human experience as part of many experiences, hundreds I've come to understand for myself, nearly 1,000. And so the
Mm.
lessons and the opportunity to grow and learn and love are real. But it's so weird. Again, I even though I learned and understood all these things, it always seemed like life was just here on earth. And then
Right.
we die, and then there's likely something magical. I don't think the screen goes
Mm.
black and that's it. And that was enough for me. But now to
Mhm.
know home is actually there, and we're
Yes.
interacting with our higher self and our spirit team to
Yes.
do our best to carry
Mhm.
forward the mission here is
Mhm.
powerful. And I also feel a real sense of peace. I'm not
Mm.
afraid to die. I'm
Right.
not in a hurry to die, though I am looking forward to reuniting with my son and other loved
Yes.
ones. So I feel comfortable looking forward to it. But I have this sense that when I reunite, it feels like not a moment will pass. That idea of the time difference. I
Right.
haven't
That's very
experienced it like
true.
you have, but I understand it intellectually. It's like, okay, well, if that's going to be the case, I believe with certainty our loved ones, when we meet, they're going to be celebrating with us that we grew and we learned and we loved even more, as
Mhm.
opposed to being sad that we suffered that whole remaining time. And just kind of going on here, but that's really the purpose of my mission, is to help people out of suffering from trauma and loss. Because going to so many support groups, which I don't go to as often now, because the challenge is I could feel a deep connection and empathy with others,
Mhm.
parents who have lost in the way that I have. No one understands like they and we do. But yet, if we stay in suffering, we can empathize about the loss and,
Mhm.
oh, my uncle doesn't understand, or my cousin
Yeah.
doesn't understand, or my best friend doesn't understand. But I'm not leaving those experiences feeling better. I'm feeling seen and a
Mhm.
part of this group. But what my wish is to help people understand, what I've understood is, if we could get just north of suffering,
Mhm.
just we don't have to get up off the mat, but just be looking around, just seeing that little pinhole that says I'm in unbearable, a tremendous amount of pain. Now we have a shot, because in suffering we're incapacitated, but pain we could learn to carry. Like, grief has no end. The
Mhm.
love I feel for Anthony is extraordinary, and it hurts. It's not like a broken arm where you could see my cast. You
Right.
can't see my heart, but it's deep purple. It's bruised and battered,
Mhm.
but I can experience that pain and loss. But what I'm so grateful for is my zest, my love for life. I was described by a friend as someone who squeezes every moment of joy and fun and love out of an experience, that still exists. But what's powerful is so too is this other side, this profound level of take your breath away, trauma and loss. But look at this
Mhm.
spectrum now.
I was about to
The,
say
the, the,
spectrum.
the
Mhm.
depth of emotion that I could
Yeah.
feel, deep, unimaginable pain, but also deep love, connection, joy, intimacy, and appreciation for life. I want to help anyone who's suffering understand that if we could just open our hearts and open our eyes to the possibility that we may be called to something greater, there's a gift in all this, not in a cliche way, but in a real deep experiential way.
Yeah. I wonder if that may be part of the duality, the kind of as above, so below. Like, I'm able to experience this amount of greatness because
Mm-hmm.
of that such amount of what I define as not greatness, right? It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel great, you know. And I love that you mentioned like the feeling on the spectrum, because what's really interesting is like Earth is uh now at least Earth is a very short place. Um, and it's a very unique place where you're literally able to feel such, and I've heard others say this too, you're able to feel such, it's a place where you're able to feel such mourning and joy,
Mm-hmm.
which on extreme levels, which, is not as that common.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, and then also, while you were talking, while I was listening, I heard feelings a lot, and I just want to applaud that because I at least was taught feelings as something that's bad, especially if it feels unpleasant, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, feelings, this is what someone told me before my NDE,
Mm.
is, and I didn't understand it until years after my NDE, right? So is that those who are able to feel greatly are closer to spiritual,
Mm. Mm.
to the spiritual. Because and it just had this whole profound, realization years after my NDE, because I was like, that is so true. Like when I was on the other side, it was nothing but feeling. Well, of course, it was more things, but you felt love.
Mhm.
You when there was communication, it was not verbal, it was telepathic, and you felt the words, you felt the concepts, you felt this, you felt that. It's like everything was connected, and it was felt, and it was greatly felt. It was so beautiful, of course, but it's like it wasn't just a knowing, it was so embodied, it was so felt.
Mm.
Um, it's literally, it's like it was our essence,
Mm.
which I do believe it is. 'Cause, um,
And that's been my experience too, even while not having an NDE. I mean, I'm definitely a feeler, an emotional
mm,
person. My heart hurts to see other humans and other
mm,
species and animals hurting, and now it's even more intensified. But I'm grateful for that because it
mm,
feels like an even deeper connection. And that what we were saying above and below, and for me, the biggest breakthrough in all this experience is the duality of the motions, or the
mhm,
both, and that we are capable of experiencing certainly two things and potentially multiple things at once, but tremendous amounts of pain with you know equal amounts of joy and appreciation. And I think it's it's a it's a gift, it's a blessing if we can open our hearts, if we can open our eyes, and I say train, but develop. Remember is a better word, not train or
mhm,
develop. Remember this capacity to experience both, because
mm,
that's what's made an extraordinary difficult stretch
yeah.
also very meaningful and profound.
Mhm. Yeah, I I think about it sometimes, and, if I feel like, yes, like, yeah, the other side, it's so extreme love, but I feel like I was able to just feel it so much more deeper because of the duality. I
Mhm.
experienced the exact opposite. In fact, it took my NDE one to start my healing journey, and also to see that I wasn't being loved by my parents. It was so my norm. I had nothing to compare it to. I did not know. I thought everyone's father abused them. I thought that that was the norm,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had no clue, and then I got that duality perspective when I went on the other side and experienced nothing but love.
Mm.
That's what kicked off my healing journey. But my whole life, I kid you not, folks, until I was 15, February 23rd, 2013, I thought that that was normal. I thought that that was love.
Mhm. Mm.
Yeah, but it's like the opposite. And I also think about it, I'm like, if I had one loving parent, I might not have experienced that NDE,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah.
I think that appreciation that I'm feeling from you is is so powerful because we wouldn't wish these experiences on anyone. Yet it's oftentimes these experiences, again, if our hearts are open and our eyes are open, so that that greater calling can come in, it's created. It's possible. I mean, look at your before and after, suffering,
That's true.
unknowingly, uncertainty about what is real and what isn't real. Are you going to go to hell? Are you not going to go to hell? Is this okay? Is this not okay? And to have this profound breakthrough and experience, and then carry it forward. I mean, it's 13
Yeah.
years of healing and helping people now.
Was it 13 years ago?
We said,
2013. Go you with the math. I'm not even.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it's
Folks.
hard for me to think, like, I can't
Mhm.
go out that far. Like, the only experience I have is like the last 2 years, and I
Mhm.
try not to sit in these generalities. So many people before me generalized that the second year will be the hardest, and
Hmm.
I really just didn't want to let that in, but it really was. There were some moments there that I just didn't think I could do it, and it's been it's been 2 years and 2 or 3 months, and it just, I don't know, it felt like some fever broke. But um, you've got like a decade. I feel like I have enough experience to help people. Kind of like recovery. It's like you have the gift to serve, no matter how short your experience is, because someone is still having a shorter experience and others are having a longer one. But just creating this safe space for these conversations to happen is a big piece, because awareness is going to break through these stigmas, these shameful beliefs, more so than anything, conversations like this.
Yeah. That's very true because there is definitely a lot of misunderstanding around suicide and the complexities of it. It is a very complex it's very complex, and I call it more of a battle than an action
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, I got a download one time that basically was like, when someone's been strong too long, and so that kind of helped, you know, shift that. I didn't carry any like stigma towards that. Even before my NDE, I never carried that. I heard the stigmas a lot, but it never rested within me. It just didn't. It's just kind of like a water on a duck. It just kind of trickled off.
Mm.
Um, but but yes, that strong for too long, right? And that's why like I call it more of a battle than an action because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like folks are happy when they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Agreed.
It's
Yes.
right. Like what
Yep.
about the times where, you know, yeah, like there was a lot of strength going on.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like, but I do want to hear a little bit more though
Hmm.
about the connection
Hmm.
aspect.
Yeah.
So are you still to this day in contact with Ant?
Yes. Yes. So I'm fortunate that I keep receiving, like I shared, this one woman continues to pour her soul into me, and then some of the mediums that we were fortunate enough to connect with early on, we're still in touch with, and even recently, I had a dear friend that I hadn't seen in 3-4 years just randomly reach out to me, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in, but I have a medium and he does amazing work. And, I've just been praying for ways that I could help you and your family. Would you be open to having a medium reading?" And, so this was a new person about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's fascinating, no matter the amount of time or the person, it's always, Anthony who comes through. I mean, others come through as well. And there'll be some check in on where we're at and how he's doing, but it's more so about the mission, what I need to be working on. So understanding that, my purpose in life is to be a transmitter of love and wisdom. So do as much as I can to transmit, writing a book, getting this lived experience out. So that those are like direct connections, but then also I've been able to sort of develop and understand signs. So, I read this, book by Laura Lynn Jackson that someone suggested signs, and I thought it was almost like signs for dummies. It was like, oh, start with, keeping an eye, like our loved ones are trying to reach us through technology or through, um, wind chimes or birds or animals, and so it was like, oh, I keep seeing this single ant, or in my case, it was a lot to do with numbers, but I just thought like, oh, 1111 is like good fortune, but understanding like 333, which was coming up a lot, you know, the meaning of that, and our soul team on the other side. And then as time passed and I developed more, we get into a meditation where, I would just relax. I could share it. It's this Jasenia Alma. She has it available on her YouTube channel. But basically, it's a seated meditation where you're opening up that channel and going through chakra by chakra and seeing what comes in. But most importantly, when I'm able to do that, a couple times I'll sit and I'll do what I call ant office hours. And it just happens to be at 12:33. I'll do that meditation, and then I'll just ask Ant, what do I need to know here? What will I be working on? And it's just my hand moves on that paper. I'm not ever someone who liked to journal, but my hand moves on that paper and it's very clear. And that was a real awakening for me, because my mind was just racing and I couldn't tell if it was grief brain, anxiety, intuition. And so just working a practice over time, I've been able to separate those things out. And he gave me a gift too, because part of me feels like, why am I so, in some ways I feel less anxious, because when you wake up every day and the worst that could ever possibly happen to you has happened, there's almost a freedom and a peace, because I mean, what am I worried about today? You know what I mean? But I have felt some anxiety that like I'm not doing it fast enough, working fast enough. So that time piece helped me. But I guess what I'm getting at is it helped me to sort of understand and trust my intuition, trust what I'm receiving. That it isn't just my mind. I mean, that's how they're connecting with us. And then
Yeah.
I've just been blessed with such clear signs. I'll just share a couple with you if we got a second.
Yeah.
One was very hard. So, Anthony didn't make it through his junior year. And so, then we had the whole summer, and then we go back to school in the fall, and Aunt would have been going into his senior year and my daughter into her sophomore year. And so my wife, my daughter, and I were very down. This was the night before school. It was just sad and heavy all day. And my daughter calls me in, and She's like, Dad, there's an animal outside my room. It's a awful sound. I can't make it out. And I walked into her room and it was like this shrieking or shrill sound. I'm like, boy, I've not heard that animal either. So we walk outside, and as we start to make it to the curb, that shrieking stops and it's replaced with a whoo, whoo, whoo. And it wasn't night yet, it was dusk, but up on the wire was an owl. And this owl was just swiveling its gaze between my daughter and me. And we both just broke down in tears and we're watching it. And we felt this peace. And then the owl just flew off. That was a really significant, powerful experience for me. There's dozens and dozens, but the other that really struck me was, Ant saved up his money. He approached me when he was younger and he said, Dad, will you be one of those parents who, if I save up money to get a car I want, will you match it? Will you match the money I save? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I feel like he was like young, 10, 11. It was nowhere near his license. So about a month before his 16th birthday and he's getting ready to get his license, he's like, Dad, hey, I just want to check back in with you. I got my sights set on, a Chevy Camaro convertible, and it's going to be between $14,000 and $16,000. I just want to be sure you have your half saved. I was like, oh my God. Well, I'm really glad he gave me a heads up. Like, no, I don't. But we got it. He got this Chevy Camaro black convertible, and sadly, when he transitioned, it was hard. It sat in the driveway. We thought about getting rid of it, and then our daughter approached us and she said, I would really like to have Ant's car. I think it would be meaningful for me. I'd be really connected with him in this way. And that revitalized it. Even though she got her permit, like we got it all fixed up. We enjoyed driving it around. Instead of feeling sadness about it, we felt connection. So anyways, long story short, she gets her license, driving it for a couple of weeks. And then one morning I hear this crash just outside the driveway. And we live on a cul-de-sac, and the sun shines down very bright a certain time of year. And I guess she was blinded and swerved and crashed into our neighbor's parked truck. And she was uninjured, but the car was totaled. And she was really sad. She was actually quite distraught. That was her connection, and her fever broke on her grief. But my wife and I were always concerned, because it was a muscle car, low to the ground, this and that. So anyways, we get a check. She gets a new car, or not a new car, but a replacement car, a Toyota 4Runner, and an older version. And one night I go outside and I'm in the driveway, and it's my wife's car and my daughter's car where my son's car used to be. And I felt this sadness because I missed his car, but I also felt this joy. And I said, Aunt, I never ask you for a sign, which is true. I never ask for a sign because I feel this connection. I say, never ask you for a sign. But I know you're behind this. I know you had something to do with this. It's just too convenient that she would crash safely. And I said, if you're behind this, show me a sign. And I turned to walk back in the house, and a shooting star shoots clear across the sky. I mean, within moments. So all that to say is, I imagine your audience is pretty connected and plugged in and seeking this kind of stuff. But if anyone's listening and maybe you're just like, oh, this is a grieving person, or, it's coincidence or this or that, I just really invite you to consider, like, when our hearts are open and our eyes are open, these connections exist all around us. But going all the way back to the beginning of the conversations, we've been so conditioned over time that we've forgotten. So you don't have to wait for a traumatic experience like Josiah and I have had. You can open your eyes, open your heart, and start to look around. And the first thing you'll see are angels, human beings here on earth that want to be with you and connected, and loved ones are trying to reach you in some way. So I invite you to just try some of those things on, see who's out there to connect with. I mean, it's magic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Neil. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. And I love the emphasis on remembering, because, I found that, those on the other side, um it can be kind of, it's not difficult for them to communicate, it can be difficult for us to receive the communication
Mhm.
because our modern century and our vibrations are different than how it used to be. So, communication, you know, a lot of people get communicated with and they don't even realize it. they don't they don't realize it, you know. It's so yeah, folks, I just want you to know like that was our norm for so long. So this this oh, I don't like it because I wasn't taught this. Um, that's not the norm, it's just the now.
Mm.
The norm was definitely, it's definitely, if you don't believe me, do research.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and the research could be just trying it on, right? I mean,
yeah,
what
yeah,
what what if you're able to open your heart and open your eyes and have these connections that we're talking about?
mhm,
The energy that you're taking to talk yourself out of it, you don't even need that energy to connect. You just need to let go of all that so that the knocking on the door that your loved ones are
yeah,
doing right now can be received.
yeah, yes. Because anytime we say something, if we say, "Can you come here really quick?" They will be there.
Yeah.
Now we may not be able to see them currently, um, um, and that can be due to multiple reasons, right? But fun fact, folks. So humanity, and I'll leave us off with this. And I promise this is gonna make sense. So humanity currently can only hear a certain amount of frequency. We can only see a certain amount on the light spectrum. Science has proven that literally majority of our world is invisible to us. Um, Butterflies, um, they see other colors that we humans cannot see. Um, I believe it's bees as well. They see light differently, so they can't see certain colors that we can see, and vice versa. So they see other colors, and that makes sense why when I was on the other side, you know, I saw different colors. Like the
Mhm.
plants, they had different colors. Now, when I say, you know, the reason why I mentioned all of that is to show that, you know, there's a lot more than what we've been taught. And a long, long time ago, you could ask your loved one to show themselves, and once upon a time, we could see them.
Mhm.
We could see them. But the vibrations have changed over the centuries on purpose. But we're ascending. We're getting back slowly,
Mhm.
right? I believe we're getting back. I know we're getting back to it. So if a kid's saying they're seeing something, if your dog or cat is seeing something, it's there. We just can't see it.
Mhm.
Um, but yes, I thought I'd share that. That you know, once upon a time, we could say, "Can you show yourself?" and then we could see them. And so now there has to be like all these signs, right? Because
Yeah.
they understand the vibration frequency of this planet.
When we can feel them and we can
Yes.
sense them and we can hear them in
Yes.
our intuition. I mean,
Yeah.
intuition has been such a powerful gift to me as I continue to. I mean, by no means am I there, but to continue to better understand my intuition versus my chattering,
Mhm.
anxious mind.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Right.
Well, man, I'm so grateful you've created this space and for having me on today and your audience. It's been quite a treat.
It's been a gift having you, Neil. And I know we're wrapping up right now, folks. So I just want to sign off with this, folks. If no one today has told you that you are lovable and that you are worthy of love, allow me to be the first and allow yourself to be the second. Yes, you are lovable and you are worthy of love. And I truly, truly, truly mean that. Alrighty, well, Neil, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, stay tuned to next episode for whatever that will be.